Well, 1 year ago, most of us went about our daily lives not realizing that there was a serial killer walking among us in NEPA. And tonight, we'll meet the people who not only discovered that they were dealing with a monster, but stopped him from killing again. Eyewitness News I-Team reporter Caroline Foreback joins us now live in studio with more tonight in her special report. Caroline?
Nick, our work with this story began in early December, right after 26-year-old Erica Schultz was reported missing. A few days after Christmas, her family's worst nightmare came true. Erica was murdered. But it was Erica and the clues she left behind that led investigators to arrest international serial killer Harold David Haulman III and uncover the truth about what happened to Tiana Phillips.
Never seen anybody like him. I don't think Luzerne County has ever seen anybody like him.
Early December 2020, Deputy District Attorney of Investigations for Luzerne County, Daniel Zola, gets a call from Detective Sean Williams.
He said, listen, I'm not sure yet, but there's a possibility that a homicide case that I'm assisting with out here in Columbia County might have crossed over into the border of Luzerne County.
26-year-old Erica Schultz vanished from her Bloomsburg apartment on December 4th.
She went to bed and showed me a Disney puzzle she was working on with her cat Luna, and she said goodnight and that she would talk to me tomorrow.
Her cell phone records gave detectives a lead. Erica's phone pinged on Hobby Road in Luzerne County, and her last communication was with a Harold David Haulman III. But he was texting her off a track phone instead of using his regular phone that night.
And when we mapped it out, you saw those two phones following exactly all the way from Erica's house all the way up to Hobby Road.
They searched the remote area, but no sign of Erica.
We couldn't find her. So what we had to do is we had to find him. And we were able to track him to Michigan. That's where his family is, that's where he's originally from. He traveled there to celebrate the Christmas holiday, and we knew it.
Investigators tracked his every move. With no Erica and no evidence of a crime, they needed a confession. Their chance came soon after he returned to Pennsylvania. On December 26th, railway police saw Haulman walking along the tracks in Duncannon. Confronted by the officer, Haulman pulls out a box cutter and slashes his arm, saying he needs to die for his sins. What was his first impression of Haulman there in the hospital?
No remorse, cold. He was almost indifferent to everything.
Haulman said he met Erica online. On the night she disappeared, he took her into the woods along Hobby Road, where he bludgeoned and stabbed her to death. He showed investigators on a map where they would find her body.
One of our assistant searchers came across her, and it was right where Haulman said she would be.
Detectives already started connecting him with another case.
All they had to do was say Tiana's name from Berwick, and he said, oh, you know about her too. And then he confessed to the fact that he had been there prior, and that's the same place where he murdered Tiana.
Phillips went missing from Berwick in June of 2018 after she too met Haulman online. Her sister Tasha suspected Haulman all along, but he lied to Berwick police and they had no hard evidence against him.
It's been a long time coming. I was lead detective on my sister's case for 2.5 years. It wasn't, unfortunately, until we lost Erica that my sister's case got the much needed attention it should have had from the very beginning.
2 women dead with no connection to each other. When investigators learned Haulman was suspected of killing another woman, Ashley Parlier, in Michigan in 2005, they needed to know who they were dealing with. Do you think it's likely that he did kill other people?
The method in which he kills, and you read or hear the words and the way he says them, it would be hard for me to believe that there's no other victims out there.
Haulman is still waiting to be extradited to Michigan, where he's charged with the murder of Ashley Parlier. The FBI is developing a profile on him that will be cross-referenced with missing persons cases across the country. Tomorrow night, we dive deeper into why investigators say it's likely Haulman has other victims, looking into patterns that began more than 20 years ago.
What started as a missing persons case turned into multiple connected murders spanning 20 years in 2 continents.
WBRE, WYOU, Eyewitness News I-Team reporter Caroline Foreback live for us in studio tonight with part 2 of Tracking a Killer. Caroline?
How did Harold David Haulman III become an international serial killer? Why did he target these innocent victims? Luzerne County Deputy District Attorney Daniel Zola talks about the patterns in Haulman's criminal behavior that suggest there could be more.
When he made that statement, it was loud and clear that this guy kills to kill. That's by its very definition, serial killer.
As investigators dug into Harold David Haulman's past, they learned Haulman killed 21-year-old Joseph Whitehurst in 1999 when he lived in Germany. Whitehurst came from a military family on Ramstein Air Force Base. The two crossed paths in Germany's nightlife. Haulman bludgeoned him with a log in the woods near the base.
In Germany, the age that he was at the time that he committed this, they treated him as a juvenile.
He was convicted of manslaughter and released just a few years later. Haulman said he told German authorities he felt threatened by Whitehurst that night, but he told Luzerne County detectives that was all a lie.
He said, I killed Joseph Whitehurst just to see what it would feel like to kill someone.
It was chilling to even the most seasoned detectives, knowing when he's deported back to America, he takes more lives. He confessed to killing 21-year-old Ashley Parlier in Battle Creek, Michigan in 2005. Haulman lived there from 2002 to 2009, working as a truck driver. He admitted to knocking her unconscious during an argument, taking her to a remote area and bludgeoning her with a log. Haulman then moved to Perry County, Pennsylvania in 2010. He admitted to killing Tiana Phillips of Berwick in 2018 and Erica Schultz of Bloomsburg in 2020.
He killed her because he had an urge to kill, and she was an easy target for him.
The same could be said for all his victims. No real motive, no warning, and after, no remorse. But why did he target these women? Their families say they had big hearts and wanted to see the good in people, good qualities someone like Haulman seeks to exploit.
She was just such a sweet person, always happy and like kind-hearted, and unfortunately that's what the kind-heartedness and trustworthiness is how she lost her life. That's how Tiana lost her life, and that's how Ashley lost her life. They just wanted friends and were trusted the wrong person.
Haulman says he started using dating apps around 2013. He met Tiana and Erica on one called Meet Me. With each of them, he strikes up some kind of relationship first, keeping it mostly casual, earning their trust.
We know the type of people he targets. We know the age range. He's looking for impressionable young women.
He kills them in a similar manner.
The efficiency of his killing method is something we also have never seen before. Not a lot of contact with his victims, get them to where he wants to get them. They walk in the woods, he walks out. Doesn't take anything from them.
In 2018, Haulman told Tiana they were going to make a campfire when he took her into the woods along Hobby Road in Luzerne County, the same place he would take Erica 2 years later. Zola wonders if the area is more significant than Haulman lets on.
How do you get to Hobby Road if you're Harold David Haulman from Duncannon? He claims he just found that spot randomly with Tiana first, back in 2018. Claimed to have no connection to the area. Something I've always struggled with, because I literally live within 3 or 4 miles of the place, my whole life down there, and I didn't even know the road was there.
That's one of the questions investigators and the FBI are trying to answer.
From 2005 to 2018, we have this big block of time, and then from 2018 to 2020, you have a big block of time. What was Harold David Haulman doing during these big blocks of time? Is he a person capable of controlling his urge to kill, or was he out killing other people?
That's what the FBI is trying to find out now. Next time, we learn more about Haulman and his past, in the hope that he will point us to more victims when I interview him face-to-face. Reporting live in the studio, Caroline Foreback, 2822 Eyewitness News.
Face-to-face with a serial killer. Harold David Haulman III pleaded guilty to killing 2 women in our area, and he confessed to killing another woman in Michigan. His patterns of criminal behavior suggest that there could be more. And Eyewitness News I-Team reporter Caroline Foreback is live now in the studio with the chilling insights from her jailhouse interview. Caroline?
Can understanding the mind of a serial killer point us to more victims? Haulman agreed to sit down with me inside the Luzerne County Jail, where he's waiting to be extradited to Michigan. Jail rules prohibit us from showing Haulman on camera, so you won't see his face in real time, but you will hear his disturbing words. Now, I should warn you, this was an upsetting and unsettling conversation.
I mean, I killed him. I hit him in the head with a log and he died right there probably. I don't know exactly. It was dark. You know, we were sitting there by a campfire. I hit him hard and I hit him multiple times.
That's how Harold David Haulman III describes what happened on May 30th, 1999, when he killed 21-year-old Joseph Whitehurst in Ramstein, Germany. 2 decades later, Haulman told police,
"You wanted to see what it felt like."
In a way, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a curiosity of mine, of course. It's part of the reason it happened, yes. That's part of the reason. And I did.
What he felt wasn't remorse.
Nothing, no drug can ever equate to that experience. Like, there's nothing out there. It's just, your mind is just, well, for me, it was just gone.
We know when Haulman came back to the U.S., he killed more people. We just don't know if he's being honest about how many.
That stems from my wife, because I know when my wife was interviewed by the police, she kept saying that I could have killed up to 10 girls or something stupid. I heard all about it. There are no others. I have a clear conscience.
We couldn't verify whether his wife really said that to police or find any mention on record of a possible number. Court records do show the many times Haulman has been deceptive throughout the investigations to police, Tiana's sister Tasha, and the FBI.
You pretty much picked her up that night knowing what was going to happen.
No, I didn't actually.
Then why'd you use a track phone that night?
I always used one.
Haulman admitted to using a track phone when he killed Erica so he couldn't be traced. Haulman's own accounts of the murders seem to confirm what investigators said about his urge to kill.
It wasn't a goal of mine. It wasn't, let's see how many I can get away with. It wasn't like that for me. Like, I legitimately did not want to do it again. And I legitimately that up, you know?
There appears to be a callous nature to the way Haulman sees himself and others, calling himself an alpha.
Because there are alphas and there are non-alphas, you know, that's just the way. There's the master and there's the submissive, or whatever you want to call it. Like, that's the way life is built.
But when it suits him, Haulman talks about how he feels that life treated him unfairly, as if he had no part in the decisions he made. Haulman went on about his troubled marriage, how he resented his wife's unwillingness to submit to him, and how he looked for that dynamic in his extramarital affairs. He says he met dozens of women on dating apps beginning around 2013, mostly in Pennsylvania.
I got tired of asking for something that I knew I wasn't going to get. So I just, went out and found it wherever I could find it.
Haulman blames the women in his life for a lot of his problems. He talks about his infidelity with as little compassion as he does his murders.
It doesn't matter how you do it. There's different ways to do it. There's different ways to, make people disappear or take people's lives. Once they bleed out, they're dead. Doesn't matter who they are.
Throughout the interview, Haulman deflects, talks in circles, and never shows emotion. We learn Haulman is someone who moved around a lot and changed jobs even more. He says he's an outdoorsman, and he liked living so close to the Appalachian Trail. When he talked about taking his victims into the woods along Hobby Road, he said this.
At the top of the mountain, middle of nowhere, if the cops actually spent more than 10 minutes out there with me, we probably would have found her, and probably there's probably more people out there, because in the hills of Pennsylvania, you can hide people anywhere.
This is not the end of the road. We are still actively working with investigators to follow any potential leads from our discussion. If you have any information about Haulman, you can leave a tip with the I-Team. Reporting live here in the studio, Caroline Foreback, 2822 Eyewitness News. Candace?
Caroline, thank you.